Welcome to Biteside. I'm Seamus Byrne. Back in March, Meason Camille became the first Australian drafted into the NBA 2K League. Maybe some of you misheard me and were thinking, hang on, there's a bunch of Aussies in the NBA, but we're talking about the esport, NBA 2K. It might be digital, but Mason or Mace or Milo had to be drafted by a real NBA team to get his shot at going pro. Worked hard, missed out more than once, but in the fourth season of the Pro League, he got the call he was dreaming of. The Detroit Pistons wanted him on the team. So now, with a full season under his belt, and hoping to get home eventually, we're having a chat with our Aussie 2K star to hear all about the journey. Mace, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you going?
Yeah, doing all right. So look, I've got a really easy first question for you. Living the dream, yes or no?
Yes, 100%.
Excellent. Look, when we were first setting up this, we weren't sure if you'd be on your way home or in quarantine or still in the US. It looks like you're still over there. And I noticed, you're locked out because of the government stopping all flights home. Really sorry about that one. But looking at your socials, I see you're also at the All-Star event in New York. So like a bit of silver lining alongside the annoyance.
Yeah. Sort of a blessing in disguise a little bit. Sort of get to, go to that event live in person, especially that there wasn't really that many live events in the 2K League this year because of COVID. We couldn't fly to New York and play every week. So being able to go to the All-Star event in Brooklyn and meet players and fans and even, coaches that I haven't met before was a crazy experience.
Yeah, it's a good point because obviously in past seasons before the COVID times that this did kind of travel around a bit more. So I guess getting to actually meet people when it had largely been run as an online operation this year, must have been a really nice moment.
Really nice. Just like I just said, just meeting people, and it's such a different atmosphere from being online and behind a screen, and to actually be there in person and actually experience that atmosphere.
Yeah, awesome. So, let's go back to having missed out, not once, but twice. What was it about, do you think, your own, mental space or your, just that work ethic that made you feel like, I can keep going for this. I can take this shot?
Yeah, I think it was just, the love for the NBA 2K, first of all. I love playing NBA 2K every year. No matter what, I'm always playing the game. So I was always going to play the game. I think after, missing out the first year, I was always like, oh, let's give it another shot. I kept making that same stage. I was playing at the highest level possible of Prime in Australia. My name was probably one of the biggest names in the Australian region out of anyone's name. So I knew, eventually, they're going to probably pick an Australian player. I kept missing out, and I knew eventually, I feel like I'm going to make that level. I was telling my friends and family, I knew I could push and make this level. I just got to do something different to get drafted. So this year, I sort of, put a lot aside. I finished my university degree. So I was out of uni. I was just working locally at a liquor store, and I sort of, I was working there on and off, and I sort of put that aside a little bit and really pushed for this, and put all my hours into going for the NBA 2K League, and I feel like at the end of the day, it honestly paid off just putting that aside, and it was a risk that I was prepared to take. I had a university degree under my belt. And just all my time basically went in going for the league. So, it paid off at the end of the day.
Awesome. It's funny, I hear you telling that story and you said liquor store, and I feel like you must have had to tell that to some American people from time to time because you didn't just say bottle-o.
Yeah. That's what I always say is a bottle-o. Liquor store, ever since I've been in the US,
they'd be like, what's a bottle-o? What?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I actually don't know why I've called it a liquor store. Just say I'm always bottle-o, and I've called it that here, and everyone's just like,
yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So look, for the uninitiated, can you actually explain how, I guess, much like real NBA, the esports mode is, because this isn't, one-on-one play where you're running the whole team, right?
Yeah, so it's a lot different to Quick Game that a lot of people are on my team that a lot of people are familiar with. So it's NBA 2K League, which is a different version of the actual game itself than Pro-Am. So the league build is everyone controls their own character. So a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center, 5 players on the court, and a 6-man on the team. And everyone just controls that one player, and you play as a team. So yeah, completely different from Quick Game. And more of a competitive standpoint, I feel like. And for people that don't watch at home, it's absolutely incredible to watch.
And so for you in your own journey, how important was it to test yourself in different positions? Yeah. I mean, in the physical game, everyone kind of lands in the place that their body suits. With the digital version, and how did you find sort of testing yourself in different positions to then find your sweet spot?
I was playing quite a different amount of positions over these years. I always started playing guard as a point guard sort of role in 2K16 and as a small player. But then I sort of changed up a little bit, and I was seeing some more success as a big man. So I came into the draft pool as a center. But we had one of the best centers in the world and the USA gold medalist, Ramo, for the Pistons. So I knew I'd be coming into the team as a potential power forward or 6-man of the team. So I did play I actually didn't play that much power forward going into the draft. But I ended up, coming in as a 6-man and then having to adapt to the US play style and play some power forward, which was a lot to get used to at the start. But I ended up getting used to it, and, we ended up with a positive record and ended up making the playoffs with that lineup. So I feel like that was pretty impressive, and considering that was my rookie year.
And look, there's a great point you're making there as well, right? Where, again, when we're talking about individual positions on the court, that you then, a lot like real basketball, you can then have quite different play styles in different, regions, because again, online you're largely playing against people from your same region just because that's how latency works. Tell me a bit more about that whole shift from, what was it about the ANZ play style versus the US play style?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was not that much different. It was more different on defense, sort of like you got to think about it. How I explain it to, the ANZ guys back home is, Australia has a lot of, talented players that could definitely be in the NBA 2K League. But also you got to think about it. These guys are playing the game, they've been in the league for the last 4 years, and they've been playing the game, 10 to 12. They do it for an actual job. Yeah. So some of these players are on a completely different level. And I feel like team defense is a big one in the United States. It's really, really, really big. There's a major difference I feel like my skill level was 100% there. I just had to learn, different rotation sets that the United States did. And I feel like, I did that, and, we ended up making the playoffs. So just adapting to that, I feel like not necessarily a more skillful way of playing, just more of a different style of play that I'm actually used to. So just adjusting to that was challenging at first, but after a while, I feel like, I adapted to it.
Awesome. So look, esports team life, you hadn't even lived out of home from what I've read. So what was it like to jump on a plane in the middle of a pandemic and go settle into a team house in Detroit?
It was, definitely challenging, adjusting to the time zone, the culture, the different foods, having to get a social security number, not having a vehicle over here. So definitely a big jump. And yeah, like you said, the pandemic. So definitely crazy. But I adapted, within the first couple of weeks. I had the best GM, Adam Rubin, who did absolutely anything for me when I needed it. So the support from the Pistons itself was incredible. So they helped me out in every way possible. But yeah, just living on my own I had a roommate, Ramo. So he was always handy. He helped me out, whatever I needed. But just doing, basic things like even cooking for yourself and doing your own laundry and stuff was just a lot different. But I think it did a lot for me. So yeah, I'm totally used to it now.
Awesome. I'm curious if there was like a favorite day of the week or night of the week during the season. Was there any kind of cultural moments along the way there?
Yeah, I loved every day, to be honest. Like every day was a different day. Just, going out with a team and just practicing or, doing team activities, at the facility and just like team bonding was amazing. But, we did sometimes a Sunday dinner, which was really nice. Sort of just like the team bond and to get together and talk about things outside of, NBA 2K.
Yeah.
So that was really good.
How did actually getting there and being part of a pro team, because as you say, sort of the training, I guess, is at a whole different level, but, I wonder, comparing that to the grind of trying to get to that tier, how different was that sort of process of, I guess, operating as a team member versus just pushing to get to that level of being drafted?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same amount of work, if not more, right now. Like I was playing the game back at home, 5 to 6 hours, but when I'm in the league, you'd be starting practice at 9, 10 in the morning, like a full-time job, where back at home, we weren't really playing scrims at 9 in the morning and I'd be asleep. So it's like a full-time thing, it's the amount of work that I put in to make it I was putting the same amount of work in when I got here. So it's just, if not more work, just, scrims every day, watching film, trying to get better as a team and trying to grow as a player. So, honestly, the work didn't stop while I was here.
Yeah. Now, like I know in some other kinds of esports, they use kind of tools and apps that almost come from outside of the game. Do you spend most of the time in NBA 2K or are there like other digital things that you do for honing skills and things?
Yeah. Well, we sort of used like off-court sort of plays and used them in the game itself. We even ran up plays on an actual basketball court
cool.
And sort of went through it ourselves, where to be on the court for when we played in the game. So we understand it from, an outside perspective. So we incorporated that as well as sort of watching other teams play sort of to get an advantage for us for when we play them.
Yeah, awesome. So I wonder then, from the lessons you've learned this year, is there anything you would do differently back during that kind of grind phase to get there, whether it is things like reviewing games or other coaching tips you've received that you kind of feel like that would elevate your game on solo queue before you ever got that shot?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I did a lot, almost like everything to get drafted possible when I was going for the league. But I feel like coming here, I had to play power forward for most of the season, but I wasn't expecting to be playing power forward. Like I was drafted as a 6-man. I knew I would probably get a game in the season at some point, but I didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking at the time that I could potentially be starting at power forward. So that didn't cross my mind at all. So sort of hearing that sort of shocked me a little bit, considering that, I haven't played much power forward, especially at the top level in the United States region. But, I adapted to it. So I was ready. It just took me, a couple of games to get used to it. So sort of being prepared that you could be put in any role possible, I'd probably just tell anyone that, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you also took a bit of a leap by making yourself more visible. You created a really, sharply made branding video for yourself before you were drafted. Looking back, how important do you feel like steps like that were to getting noticed?
Yeah, that was one of the two things I feel like I did that differently, especially this year going for the league, that 100% got me drafted. It's something that no one's really done themselves and gone out and done something like that. And two, especially coming from Australia, if you can bring that content and that brand of like a whole following and something like that is something that, I used at Detroit Pistons and made the Pistons GT such a bigger organization, bringing, a fan base from APAC. So I feel like that was one of the biggest things. And if I didn't do that, honestly, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now. Season 2 and 3, I didn't really do any of those videos. I did promote myself in other ways, but they weren't good enough to get drafted. So I knew, look, they know who I am, but I need to do something that some other players aren't doing. So I just thought of that idea, and it ended up paying off.
And look, watching the video, it totally looks like the kind of thing that you see, that someone would do that after someone's gotten in somewhere. And it had that polish. It kind of presented you really well. I was really impressed when I saw it to see that it felt exactly like you feel like those videos are meant to feel.
Yeah, 100%.
So how's it all work for next season then? Do you have a place on the roster? Do you have to wait and see what other kind of stuff has to go down between now and next season?
Yeah, so we don't find that out until November, December. And either I will get retained or I will potentially come back in a later round if the Pistons decide to draft me. Other than that, the other process is I don't need to try out for the NBA 2K League. I'm already in the draft pool for next season, so I already have my spot in that. So from now on, right now I'm in a US Pro-Am team, so I'm using the time while I'm here to play against the American players to get my name out even more. And just while I'm here, when I go back to Australia, I'll be on delay again. So while I'm here, I'm using my time wisely. So that's what I'm doing right now. But if I do go back to Australia, I'll still be going for the league, whether I get retained with the Pistons or not. So I'll just be pushing for that, and hopefully I get that shot again, because I feel like I played decent in a role that I've never played before, and we ended up making playoffs for the Pistons that made playoffs for the last couple of years. So I feel like we had a good season overall.
Now I see you've had some streams with 2K22 recently. What stood out so far as nice little tweaks for the experience in game for next season?
Yeah, NBA 2K22 is such a jump from 21. I feel like just the player movement on defense, I feel like is such a great feature that they have this year. I feel like I've got much more control of my player. I don't know what they did to the game, honestly, but it's really much smoother, and I just feel like I got full control, and everything that I press, like I'm actually pressing, and it's like activating at the right time. So I feel like, player movement is such a big one. And I'm just enjoying, the new park, the Pro-Am, everything, just about the game's much smoother. Absolutely loving it so far.
Awesome. Now, Mace makes sense. I'm curious, your main kind of online in-game name now is Milo. Where did that come from?
Yeah, that was maybe like 3-4 years ago. I needed to make some sort of, I had those PSNs with the random numbers in it, and I knew, I needed a brand, I needed some sort of name that will stand out. And honestly, I always like to drink Milo, and I was drinking that at the time that I was making it. Yeah. So I've got a cup of Milo when I'm deciding this PSN. I don't know what to make. My name starts with M as well. I didn't want to do like Mace. I mean, it would have been all right, but then I didn't want to put that as my online name at the time. Yeah. So I just went with Milo, and it's stuck ever since. So I thought a lot of people like it. I like it as well, and I think it suits me.
Awesome. So let's close this out with a hot tip for someone out there chasing the esports dream. I think playing hard is kind of obvious, but what do you think is the biggest mental step for someone to reach that next level?
Yeah, like you said, playing hard and putting the work in is an obvious one, but I feel like trying to stand out and doing something different that someone else has done. I feel like that's what I did this season, and that's how I got to where I want to be. Everyone plays 2K. A lot of people have PS5s. A lot of people play Pro-Am and are going for the league. But if you can do something completely different than someone else, whether that's making content on TikTok, YouTube, and just expanding your brand, I feel like that's such a big step in making the 2K League just as important as your stick skill.
Awesome. And look, a huge, hope for you that you get home, I guess, by Christmas, I guess we're kind of hoping at this point or something. It seems like it's a pretty rough spot, but I guess, what do you miss most?
I do miss all my Australian food, mum's cooking and all that. I do miss my friends. I do miss, just like seeing all them, even though the lockdowns and all that, I just miss being in Australia. I was pretty good all season. I didn't really get homesick or anything like that. But since the season's over, I sort of do want to get home and see my family and all that. So hopefully I can, fingers crossed, get home, whether that's late October to November, December.
Yeah. Is there any American or Detroit food you've fallen in love with while you're there?
Yeah, there's a Detroit Coney Island. It's sort of like a 24/7 food place that does everything you can imagine, breakfast, lunch and dinner. So all that food's amazing. And one fast food in particular is called Chick-fil-A and Chipotle, which is absolutely amazing. So they need that in Australia because that is absolutely amazing. So yeah. I am enjoying that, and I definitely will be getting that before I go.
Awesome. Look, best of luck with both next season and hopefully the journey home real soon. You take care.
No, I appreciate you for having me anytime.